Hi, welcome to Airplane Partnerships Group. My name is DC Surface, and behind the scenes, we've got Josh Harrington and Debbie Forcier Lynn working hard, and we'd like to welcome you back. This is our third video that we've done, and today I would like to address a topic called affordability. We have a lot of members in the Facebook group, climbing our way to 47,000 members right now, and that's a great thing because it makes it a whole lot easier for you to find partnerships in your area. So, one of the big questions that we get a lot of times, and if you're new to this, you've never been in a partnership before, one of the key questions that comes to mind is, how much does all this cost? And so I'd like to address that today a little bit. And keep in mind, my numbers, I'm really just kind of going from experience from what I've experienced in past partnerships. And numbers that you see may vary plus or minus, who knows how much, but it's gonna vary a little bit. And I'm gonna make this assumption off of a Cessna 172 and probably a vintage 172. It could be something very similar to that, like a Cherokee 180, a Piper Warrior, something of that nature. But we're going to base this off of a Cessna 172, which seems to be one of the most popular planes out there, especially for a partnership. So, but it does run all over the place. So one of the things I'm going to base my assumption on today is the acquisition cost. And we're going to pretend or make that 100 grand. So we have a budget of $100,000. And so what I want to do is strike the difference between like you being the sole owner of this airplane and you being in a partnership, a four-way partnership, which is what I highly recommend, anywhere from 3 to 4 people, but four is a really optimum number to have in a partnership for a plane. Now, a lot of people say, well, what if you have differences and you have to throw out a vote there and you got 2 people want and 2 people don't want something? Well, then you got to figure that out up front, like how are you going to do the tiebreaker and all that. But skip all that. Let's say we got 4 members in this thing. We got $100,000 airplane that we're looking at. And so your part of that as a fourth owner is $25,000. So for the price of a good used car in the market today, you can be in this airplane. And so one of the things I want to talk about is fixed costs versus variable costs. So once you acquire this beautiful 172, for 100 grand total, you've got 3 other partners, you're in it for 25 grand. Now you got to start looking at what is the fixed cost for this and what is the variable cost going to be. So the fixed costs are going to be things like the hangar or the tie down. Highly recommend a hangar, but a lot of places don't have hangars available, and there's really nothing wrong with a tie down if you protected your airplane with covers and things like that. You want to make sure that you do that. If you do have it on a tie down is going to be a lot less expensive than a hanger is for sure. Hangers, depending on what part of the country you're in, can run anywhere from, I've seen it from $250 a month, which is on the low end, all the way up to $1,000 a month or more. But that's definitely the high end for this. So you've got the cost of that hanger. So we're just going to figure an average cost of say $500 a month for a hanger. The last airplane I owned, that's pretty much what we were paying a month for it. And so then you've got the hangar fee, then you've got the insurance. And the insurance is one of those things that is kind of up in the air too, a little bit, being that it's all based on all the pilots. So you take 4 pilots, whoever's got the least amount of experience and stuff is typically what the insurance is going to be based off of. And if that pilot's got less than 300 hours, you're probably going to pay a premium for the insurance on that airplane. So one of the things that you need to look at with insurance is I wouldn't go out there and own an airplane without hull and liability. They do have liability only insurance available, and that's the cheapest you're going to be. Typically, that will cost, I don't know, anywhere from $300 to $600 a year, and you'll have $1 million liability coverage on it, somewhere in that neighborhood. But that really doesn't cover if something happens to that airplane. So you want to get hull and liability coverage on the airplane. at the value of the airplane. And so say the value of this airplane is going to be $100,000. That's what we want to cover it for. So in that case, you're probably looking somewhere in the ballpark of about $3,000 a year to cover that airplane. And that's based on everybody being proficient, everybody having probably 300 plus hours. And if you got less than that, it may cost you a little bit more, or that may be right on. You just need to contact your insurance company out there and talk to them about this, because I'm just, again, throwing averages out there. So you've got the insurance cost on there. And then some of the other fixed costs that you want to look at is I would definitely go in and have an engine reserve. And that's going to be paid typically by the hours that you fly the airplane. So it doesn't really work into a fixed cost. It's more of a flying expense for you. But nonetheless, you want to make sure that you've got an engine reserve. An engine today to be overhauled can cost anywhere from 35 to 50 grand. Who knows? And the engines typically last around 2,000 hours. It's called TBO, time between overhaul. And you can, hopefully get that kind of hours out of your airplane if you're taking real good care of it and maintaining it well. Hopefully you see that kind of hours. But when it comes time to overhaul that engine, or you're getting close to that, you want to have that money sitting in a reserve account to cover it, so you're not coming up with a ton of money out of your pocket when that does occur. So you've got the engine reserve there, and then let's flip over to that. That'll pretty much cost. You also want to probably budget for an annual. An annual on an airplane is the annual inspection by an A&P licensed A&P mechanic, and you want to make sure that you have something budgeted for that. I would probably budget about 2,500 bucks, and to be honest about it, you'd be lucky to get away with the $2,500 annual. And you probably could get away with that maybe if you owner assisted the mechanic, or you just absolutely had no squawks with the airplane whatsoever. You might be able to get away with that, but I wouldn't count on that. I would be looking at, something's going to be required to be replaced on this airplane, and we're going to have to, come out of pocket more for that. But at least it's nice to have an annual budget of about 2,500 bucks sitting there doing that. And then we flip over and we look at the variable costs of this thing. So the variable costs is going to be things like oil changes, squawks, and squawks again are little issues that come up with the airplane. You may want to budget for that. So again, you're not coming out of pocket with a lot of money all at one time to take care of something that you really, couldn't foresee. One of the craziest things that happened on my 206 was we lost the fuse panel. And the only place we could get a replacement fuse panel was from Cessna. And by the time that thing was said and done, it was like $3,000 to install a fuse panel. So I would rather have some money sitting there to cover things like that in a budget, as opposed to everybody now having to come up with their share of $3,000 to fix things like that. But so the other thing that you look at in variable cost is flight hours and things like that it's going to cost you out of your pocket, like it, fuel, um, and again, just the squawks and different things like that that happens with it. So that's kind of a good idea of what you're looking at. There's all kinds of software out there and spreadsheets and stuff that you can fine tune this with. So I'm just really throwing out high level numbers here just to give you an idea. If you're new to all this and you're thinking about getting in this, what's an airplane like this really going to cost me, and can I afford it? And if you look at a lot of things like that, um, and you look at the absolute cost, it's really not that bad, because the fixed cost could run anywhere from $1,000 a month. So instead of it being $1,000 a month out of your pocket, you're looking at $250 a month out of your pocket. Variable cost is probably going to be somewhere around 500 bucks a month. So again, if you look at that and what you're budgeting for um, squawks and different issues like that, oil changes and things like that, you're looking probably about another $125 a month out of your pocket for that. So right now you're sitting at $375 a month, which is far less than the average car payment. Which, by the way, right now, a new car payment on average is like $735 a month, and a good used car on average is about $525 a month, somewhere in that neighborhood. So you're in this airplane for $375, less than you got into a car at this particular point in time. Now let's take a look at the usage. What is it going to cost me to operate this thing? The average pilot, we say if you fly 100 hours a year, that's a lot, and it really is. It takes a lot of commitment to fly 100 hours a year. That's why partnership is so great. They're not designed to sit on the ground, so you want them up flying. And between four people, you can probably put 100 hours, maybe 125 hours a year on one. The typical pilot that we see out there probably only flies about 50 or 60 hours a year. So we're going to go with 5 hours a month. And what's that going to cost me? So you're looking at the monthly fixed and variable around $375. You're looking at a 5 hour engine reserve, which I placed at $25 an hour. It could be up to $50 an hour. Just depends on what all the partners agree on and how much of a reserve you want to have there. But let's go the low end at $25 an hour. So if you're flying 5 hours a month, you've got $125 in it. You've got $375 in the fixed and variable cost of this. And then the other thing that we've got to figure in is the fuel burn. So if you're flying 5 hours a month on average of 172, I'm just going to call it 10 gallons an hour. So you're looking at $50, or excuse me, 50 gallons for the month for your flying. And if you look at the average cost, you're going to pay a little more, a little less, depending on where you're at. But your average cost for fuel today is around $6 a gallon. So you're going to have around $300 in fuel. And when I say that, typically when a partner takes off with an airplane and comes back, it's your responsibility to top off the airplane. So the next partner that comes along that wants to fly it has a full tank of gas. They don't want any surprises, and they also don't want to be paying for your trip. So make sure you top it off. And you're looking at right at, $300 a month for that. So all total, I would budget around $800 a month for you to fly and own your own airplane. Um, and that is affordable if you're getting into airplanes and you want to be able to take trips and do things with an airplane with yourself and your family and your friends. That's very affordable when you look at it from that aspect of it. And if look at if you own that airplane outright, you would probably be adding another $1,000 a month to that. Easy. But the reason I'm such a big advocate for partnerships is that's ideal situation. What you have to plan for is the unexpected. And the unexpected is what really always gets you, right? All of a sudden the airplane didn't make it to TBO. It 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 blew something, it blew a cylinder, it blew something out, and now you've got to spend maybe 5,000, maybe 10,000 fixing it, or maybe you got to go full overhaul on it and spend 35 or 40 grand on it. So it makes it a lot more palatable when you're splitting that four ways. Same thing with upgrades. A lot of the vintage planes and stuff now do have a lot of good upgrades and stuff in them. But say you want to put a Mac Daddy autopilot in it, and that thing costs $35,000. Everybody agrees that that's what they want in the airplane, and again, you're splitting the cost on that four ways, not coming out of pocket with it. So there's a lot of advantage to this. I hope that this gives you some kind of idea, again, if you're brand new, that of what the actual cost is that you're looking at. And again, this is going to vary from location to location. And so you just need to, look at what that is in your area. So if you're not in the Facebook group, I encourage you to join. The reason for this is we're climbing our way to 47,000 members now. And again, it just makes it very, very simple for you to find partnerships in your area. And that's a great thing. One of the other things I'd like to do, if you will send us an email, we will send you some information on why a partnership with an airplane. So with that, I'm going to close out saying I hope you have blue skies and smooth winds ahead. May your attitude always be as high as your spirits and your landings as perfect as your takeoffs. And with that, I wish you safe travels. Take care. See you next time.